best and fastest way to reprogram your mindset is to change your state. The best way to change your state is start changing your belief systems. Because if you change your belief systems, you change your habits dictate your actions dictate your outcome. So then how do we begin to change our belief system? Their belief system was different. They wake up between 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning. They have a morning ritual and routine. They surround themselves with awesome people. They are willing to edit or eliminate negative people, toxic people out of their lives. And as my clients would tell me this, I go, shit, I need to adopt this belief system.
How you doing, Bedros Keuilian?
Doing well, my brother. How are you, Jose? Thanks for having me on the show.
I am doing phenomenal, and I am just very grateful to first have you here and to have the listeners, just hear more of you. I know that they're big fans, and I'm just excited to expose more of you to them, and so that we could talk about your brand new book, A Man Up, which I'm really excited. And I actually just finished reading it this morning.
Right on. Give me your honest feedback. How did you like it? Like, honest. If you hated it, tell me.
Man, honest. I gotta say, man, your book is a textbook of for people's lives and entrepreneurs. The exercises themselves at the end of every chapter really creates a roadmap in a way that you don't give people the answers or what they need to hear, but more of the right questions they should ask themselves to look within so that they could realign to the true version of themselves. And I think that is a big piece that I, relate with you completely, especially for a lot of us that are, come from poverty, have immigrant parents, are immigrants ourselves, and just have that state of mind. And society kind of just, takes a big dump on us, and you do an amazing job to basically clear all of that mess and get our mind right, get our mind right, our clarity, and get clear on our purpose.
Yeah. Good. I'm happy to hear that, man, because when a young, motivated, driven guy like you decides to get in line with his vision and values, you are unstoppable, brother. And that's what you're going to become.
Thank you so much. Yeah, man. Just growing up myself, I also grew up, my parents were actually from Mexico, came to America illegally. And, my dad worked in construction, still does, owns his own company. And, my mom, worked in factories, and I was pretty much left to raise myself. And so there's a lot of truth in this book. I saw a lot of myself in this book. And a lot of your podcast, everything that you talk about, that you preach about, it's just amazing. But you definitely shine a lot of light in truth of, a lot of the things that, a lot of key takeaways that I took are these amazing quotes that which I'm actually going to be going over in this podcast. But you have a beautiful philosophy when it comes to entrepreneurship and how to live life at the same time.
Thank you, man. I appreciate the kind words.
So for the people that have been under a rock and are seeing light for the very first time and are barely getting to hear your name for the first time, I honestly know just about everything about you, but just to give these listeners, these fresh virgin ears, a little bit more about you. If you could just give us just a snapshot of your family coming to America, and then also what is it that you remember as a child?
Yeah. So, the bottom line is, you said it in your announcement, I'm the immigrant edge and I'm the American dream. And when I say immigrant edge, I believe that immigrants who come to this country and want to add value to it, want to see it prosper, have the opportunity to make as much money as they want and to have as much meaning as we want. At the end of the day in life, there are only two things that we want: money and meaning. Money solves the problem of not having money. Money is security, shelter, freedom, opportunity, experiences. And of course, meaning is something bigger than us. We always want to have some kind of legacy that we leave behind. Say, I helped create that. I helped start that. I made this change in the industry or this place. And so I knew that I wanted to have money and meaning. And when my father escaped communist Soviet Union, we came to the United States, he said, as long as you serve this country and do good by the people in it, you can have as much freedom, money, opportunities, and security as you want. And so that was my main goal. And so coming to the United States wasn't easy, though. It wasn't like we came and all of a sudden the streets were paved with gold. We came and we had such little money. We had under $100 and a family of 5. And I was the baby of the family, Jose. So you can imagine that as a baby of the family, I mean, I was 6 years old. And so I was very aware of what's going on. I knew that we were broke. I didn't understand why we'd have to go hungry some nights. I couldn't figure out why we're getting food out of the dumpster, because that's how the first couple of years was for us. Like, my dad had found this dumpster in the back of a grocery store, and they were throwing away food that had expired but hadn't gone bad. And his thought was, if we save up all the money that we make while working in these little jobs, he pumped gas, and my brother worked at a pizzeria. Then my dad delivered newspapers at night, and my sister worked at another place. And everybody in the family had jobs working for less than minimum wage. But my dad's philosophy was, if we save all this money, he could start a business. That meant that we had to live in tight quarters. There was 5 of us living in a 1-bedroom apartment, that was rent controlled because it was a Section 8 housing that the government provided. And he figured, why pay for food when we can find it in the dumpsters, right? So that was the mindset. We had the immigrant edge. People go, well, what is the immigrant edge? It is doing what needs to get done to create the outcome that you want for yourself and your family. And my dad and my mom were willing to do that. So much so that one time I got lice in my hair, and my mom and dad, I'm sure we had enough money to afford the lice treatment, but again, the money couldn't go towards lice treatment. My dad had to open up a little tailor shop. That was his goal. And so my mom made him siphon out gasoline from a parked car, and she washed my hair with gasoline to kill the lice. When you don't have resources, you get resourceful. That's the immigrant edge. And when you have adversity to deal with, like people telling you to go back to your own effing country because you're a foreigner, or you don't understand the language or the culture, and people laugh at you because of the way you speak and the way you dress, that's adversity. Most people run away from adversity. Well, the immigrant edge takes adversity and goes, adversity is an advantage. You only find that out later in life. You don't find that out in the moment. In the moment, it sucks when people are laughing at you and for your haircut and your clothes and the lack of the understanding of the language or the culture. But later on, I realized that adversity, just like you go to a gym and work out and you build your muscles, adversity builds your mental muscles, your entrepreneurial muscles. And those are important muscles to build as well. And again, that's part of the immigrant edge mentality. And so I'm very grateful that we escaped. We had hardship, we had adversity, we had to get resourceful, because that's taught me so much as an entrepreneur. Now I use those same skills in Fit Body Bootcamp that you're a part of. And we've got over 700 locations worldwide, serving people all over the world with fitness and fat loss solutions. And I'm just now the American dream. And I'm so happy to share that message with people.
I love that. Yeah. And one of the things that I resonate with you when it comes to those adversity times, I remember me growing up, my parents didn't have enough money to even just have milk. And I remember one time my mom gave me cereal with soda in it, and that's all we had to eat, right? So I remember those times, but at the same time, it wasn't something that put me down, but it was just more of a learning experience of wow, this is where we came from, and look at where we are now. And so I know that a lot of the listeners and people that are watching this could relate to this, especially if they come from other countries themselves and the parents. As a person that, you worked your way up, you had a lot of jobs, you had a lot of funny jobs where you were a bouncer at a gay club, and, you had your stories there. And, and I was also, I was just letting you know today before starting the podcast that I have freshly finished reading your book, which is for the listeners, what we're going to be talking about this is Bedros' brand new book, Man Up, amazing read. I believe that it's the Bible for the entrepreneur. They should be carrying this with them and have the e-version, the audiobook, and anything, because it really talks to the mindset of what it takes for you to create the impossible sometimes. And you have some great examples in here. And as you were growing up and you had multiple jobs, one of the things that caught my attention was that you said that everybody at one point of their life should be a busser, which, interesting enough, I used to be a bus boy back in my college years. So why is it that you put that in there?
Good question. The reason I said that at some point, every single person who wants to be an entrepreneur down the line needs to be a bus boy or a bus girl. You need to clear tables, because there's nothing more unforgiving than angry customers who want to sit down and eat, but the tables are full of the other people's food. The servers, waiters, waitresses who want these people to sit down so that they can make a tip. The host or hostess who are trying to rush you to clean this table and move on to the next table. Everybody hates the busser in a restaurant. And if you could deal with angry customers, angry servers, angry hosts and hostesses, and by the way, it doesn't stop there, because when you're a busboy like I was at Disneyland, once the people in the front of the restaurant are done hating you, you're going to go back in the restaurant, like in the kitchen, where you're going to have to bring clean plates from the bus room into the kitchen. And you can never bring the pots and pans and ladles and cups and plates fast enough to the kitchen. So all the cooks and dinner cooks and chefs are going to ridicule you, laugh at you, and call you clown. And this happens systematically. But I believe that if, again, going back to adversity, if you can deal with that level of adversity, hungry, angry people, angry servers and hostesses and upset cooks in the kitchen, and you could persevere through that, man, you could start any kind of business and succeed.
Yeah, man. I remember I used to drive going to the bus job that I had as a busboy, and I hated it. I hated it with so much passion. But I never complained. Like I would do the job anyways, and I got to the point where I would have to wear a back brace because we would carry so many heavy dishes.
Yeah.
And it just really that really pushed me through wanting change and wanting something better for myself. Just looking at life like, do I want to bust like all my life? Yet the key takeaway for me was like, I did it anyways without arguing or complaining. But that's because I knew that I wanted change and I was looking for something else, something better.
Dude, and you know what? By the way, I should say this. Since you were a busboy, I was a busboy. How grateful are you, even on your worst days at the job or the business that you have now? Like even my worst days at Fit Body Bootcamp headquarters, I go, I'm so grateful I'm not a busboy covered with ketchup and mustard and barbecue sauce and food splattered all over me. So when you've had a job that crappy, where you're hated by all and smell like used food, your worst day at work or in your business is still a blessing.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it even takes me back to the time when, because my dad was a construction worker, or is a construction worker, owns his own company now. But during the summer times, I used to go to work with him, and he one day, like after a week's worth of work, and it was a hard day of work, he asked me, he's like, do you want to do this for the rest of your life, or do you want to use your mind and create something for yourself? And basically he was saying, go to school, like continue going to school, because for him, education was the route, which I agree. But, in the education of entrepreneurship and building your brand, building your business and marketing and learning how to expand to the mass to help other people.
And by the way, that's a whole different conversation, right? I mean, how old are you?
I'm 30.
You're 30 years old. By the way, you look like you're 22. You've got a very...
Oh, thank you.
Great,
I think because I shaved or something.
I'm the opposite. I'm 44. People go, man, you look like you're 54, but whatever. Anyway, so think about this. Our parents were all about, and God bless them, right? Your parents, my parents, like, hey, go to school, get an education so you can use your brain to make money and not your body and because they don't want their body to break down. Like your dad was in construction. My dad was a tailor, pumping gas, a pizzeria. He was a busboy too. So maybe it runs in the family. I don't know. But the point of this is that I think while they meant to give us good advice, school is not the answer. Like unless you're going to be a doctor, an attorney, an architect where you need specific education, the entrepreneurial school is in the trenches, is getting mentored by someone who's already been there and is doing what you want to do. And that is the best place to invest your money in schooling and not necessarily in Harvard or Yale, because when those professors teach, they profess, but they've never practiced. And the practice comes in the trenches. So I'm really glad you brought that up. And I think anyone who's listening to this should always remember this before they educate their kids on school and school and school. School's not always the answer.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, just to let you know, I know my listeners know, but I have a bachelor's in finance, and then I got a master's in accounting, and I feel that I have the right to tell them, don't go to school. Yes. And use this tuition money to actually experiment with the real school, which is life, and creating something for yourself where you'll learn. And you actually were the one that has said this. You'll actually learn more taking that tuition money and applying it to growing something, creating something for yourself, than you'll ever learn in the school system.
Exactly right. Good. And you know what? You're right. You have the greatest amount of right to tell anyone not to go to school, because you've been down that road. You went to the highest level, you got a master's, and guess what? That money could have been invested in a better place.
Yeah, time, money, and the time. Yeah. And this takes me to people's self-worth, right? Because I have a lot of friends. They came from the same neighborhoods, and they feel that their success is not where it should be, and they feel like they need to fill the void somewhere. And a lot of the times they go to the military, maybe they go to college and so on. But you had quoted something, or you actually wrote something that was very profound, and to me it was like the biggest first key takeaway in your book. And you wrote that most people fail to realize that you are a human and you are on top of the food chain. And I feel that a lot of people forget this, but you said it perfectly. And why is it that you wrote this?
That's a really good question, man. Most people will ask me, hey, what do you mean about man up, right? Because I've got a book that's titled Man Up, and it's written in gold. And so most people think it's about being a tough guy. Man up is simply about human up, because like you said, I do believe that humans, we are top of the food chain, not the animals. We on this planet are top of the food chain. So we should have higher standards of expectations of ourselves, our family, our friends, the people that we surround ourselves with. But you look in someone's car, it's a mess. Then you look at there's burger wrappers and soda cans that are empty and Starbucks cups. And when that messy car translates to a messy relationship, messy finances, messy mindset, messy business, messy path in life. And so just what if that person goes, you know what, since I am top of the food chain, I'm going to human up and stop making excuses. I'm going to take control of my life instead of blaming others and circumstances and the economy and the competition and my parents and blah, 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 and actually do something about it, rise to my potential. And that's really what man up is human up to your higher potential, because you are top of the food chain. And if we don't reach our fullest potential, the biggest problem here, Jose, is that we're going to one day be old and live with so much regret about the things we didn't do. No one has regret about, gosh, I built a business, I raised amazing kids. Everyone has regrets about the things they didn't do. And it's about humaning up to that higher potential.
I love that you have a philosophy behind man up and manning up, and because it actually you supercharge the meaning and the word, and it's something that you supercharge, and it almost cues and triggers a whole different way of thinking. And, that's something that I very, very much appreciate. And for the listeners and for the viewers, Bedros just released this amazing book, Man Up. And you'll go to the show notes, go below the notes, you'll find the link so that you go to Amazon, get your book, review it after you read it, or listen to it, which you'll get a free 30-day trial. And, just let us know what was your favorite key takeaway, because honestly, there's no negative thing that I could say about the book, except for how much awesome it is. And I can't wait for the second one to come out.
Second one, holy cow.
Yeah, man. I don't know what you're going to call that one. It's like manning up more, right?
Manning up. Yeah. I love that.
The first thing that I also want to say is that you start off the book with something that really taps into my subconscious, and that is you give permission to the reader. You give them permission to live their life to their terms, make a lot of money, not a little bit of money, a lot of money, like crazy amounts of money, to be bold, to be aggressive, and you continue on. Why is it that you started off your book with permission?
Oh my gosh, dude. Because in life, it's funny, as kids, what do? We we kind of look to our parents for permission, right? Do I have permission to open that door? Do I have permission to take that? Do I have permission to eat that, drink that? Do I have permission to go out and play? And so we are so conditioned as babies, as kids growing up to ask for permission that we begin to subconsciously ask the world around us, bosses, teachers, friends, family, coworkers, for permission because and here's what I mean. You don't directly go to your friend and say, hey, look, can I make more than you? But if your friends, and this is why they say you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most. If you have a friend who's making 40,000 and 50,000, next guy's making 60,000, next one's making 30, you're probably going to make something around $48,000. If your friends are between 30 and 60,000, you're going to be right in the middle of that. That's literally, asking permission. Can I just be like you? The thing is, I tell people, you don't need other people's permission. How much money do I need? If they need 60,000 a year, I need 60 million a year because I've got 97 kids adopted through Compassion International. If that guy down the street doesn't, he doesn't need the same amount of money that I have. And by the way, I need 1,000 kids adopted through Compassion International. So I'm not even there yet. We also support Shriners Children's Hospital. We give them 7 figures every single year. If that guy down the street is not giving them that kind of money away, he doesn't need 60 million a year, 100 million, 200 million a year like I do. And so the more generous you want to be, the more people you want to help, the more meaning, impact, significance you want, the more money you have to make. So I always tell people, what is it that your heart wants? Do you want to give your parents a good life? Like, I'll give you a really good example, real world example. My mom has dementia. We found out 8 months ago that she's losing her memory. She's got Alzheimer's. I've got her the best treatment, the best doctors, the best medication. We were able to catch it early enough. And she's got someone at home with her full time who speaks Armenian, our language, so that she doesn't have to feel like she's lost and confused and argues with my dad. All of that costs money. So if someone goes, well, I just need enough money to take care of myself, I say that person is selfish. Because if you only want to take care of yourself or maybe just your family and that's it, what about your mom and dad? What about your community? What about the charities that you want to adopt? What about your church? And if you're not looking out for everybody, then you're being selfish. And I think the best thing we can do is contribute more and therefore give ourselves permission to make an obscene amount of money so we can make a bigger impact and have a greater amount of purpose on this planet.
I love that. The next thing that this connects perfectly with the next thing is that you had to develop a mindset, and this connects a lot with like the money mindset, a spiritual mindset, a loving mindset, just having a mindset that is not negative and it doesn't have a belief system that is self-destructive, right? Because you have said that negativity and the way in your thought process, when you're raised and when you come from places such as like adversity and poverty and things like that, and go through hardship and rough neighborhoods, you develop a certain way of thinking and it becomes a virus. And if you don't kill the virus will kill you. And what you did personally, and something that you shared in your book, is how you developed and you went heavy into your mindset and your development. And you would develop practices like jumping up and down and saying things like, I like myself. And you thought it was funny, but it worked. And in this, and I want to quote you in this part where you said that after all, your beliefs dictate your habits dictates your actions, and your actions dictate your outcome. Yeah. And I thought that was beautiful. And I want you to share with us, what is it that people could do to reprogram their mindset if it's holding them back money-wise or with their happiness?
I'm telling you, you nailed it again, because the best and fastest way to reprogram your mindset is to change your state. The best way to change your state is start changing your belief systems. Because if you change your belief systems, you change your habits dictate your actions dictate your outcome. So then how do we begin to change our belief system? We start surrounding ourselves with people who have a belief system that we want to adopt. So right now, well, not right now, but when I was a kid, yeah, I was in a position where I believed, my belief system was, we always run out of money before we run out of month, because my family, we didn't have a lot of money. And so money was scarce. And I always believed that money was for the white collar person. Money was for people that are white or Americans and not me, a foreigner. Well, as I started to hang out with people who had wealth, their belief system about money was different. And how did I hang out with these people, by the way? I was a personal trainer. Thank God I was a personal trainer, because as a personal trainer, your clients are affluent. They have money. They can afford to pay you a lot of money. Well, they were paying the gym for a lot of money, and I was just getting paid hourly. But I had affluent clients, and I saw that their belief system was different. They wake up between 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning. They have a morning ritual and routine. They surround themselves with awesome people. They are willing to edit or eliminate negative people, toxic people out of their lives. And as my clients would tell me this, I go, shit, I need to adopt this belief system. And if I adopt this belief system, I'll begin to have habits like they do. And if I have their habits, I'll start taking the actions that they take. And if I have the actions that they take, I'll create the outcome, the money, the impact, the meaning, the freedom, the opportunities that they have. So to me, it was like a domino effect to see that these affluent people have different belief systems than I was raised with. I need to adopt their belief systems and everything else will fall into place. And that's exactly what happened. So, and that's a mindset change. Now, in the moment, if you're stressed out, if you're anxious, if you're in a place of like anxiety, I might be able to quickly change my state by going through what you said. Start jumping up and down. I like myself. I like myself. I like myself. I like myself. And it sounds so stupid to say that. And I learned that from Brian Tracy, but it sounds so stupid to stand there. I like myself. I like myself. That you start smiling and all of a sudden dopamine starts running through your blood and your brain and these happy hormones kick in. And before you know it, I'm not so anxious. I'm not so depressed. And actually, I'm ready to go dominate the world. So it's a very quick thing you can do. Or you can hit the deck and do push-ups or burpees. Or one of the times when I was writing this book, Man Up, I went and I decided that, hey, I'm stuck. I can't write anymore. I've got writer's block. I'm getting frustrated. And I was getting mad at myself. And I was going down this rabbit hole, Jose, of like thoughts like, maybe I'm not supposed to be a writer. Maybe I shouldn't be writing a book. Maybe there's nothing to man up after all, right? Instead, I'm like, wait a minute, dude, you're having negative self-talk right now. This is not what a freaking winner does. I closed my laptop and I said, just go get a win. Go change your state. Well, what do? I know how to lift weights. I went to my garage, got my heaviest kettlebell and did 100 kettlebell swings, not in a row, but I just was going to do 100 kettlebell swings. And that released dopamines and happy hormones into my bloodstream. And I felt good about myself because I got a win and came back to the laptop. And you know how it is when you're running, jogging, working out, creativity flows. All of a sudden I came to the laptop, man, I was typing away like I was Hemingway. That's the difference.
And I love how you said this because it just transitions perfectly. How it starts off with winning. It starts off by your morning ritual, and this is something that I'm a big advocate in. Is how to win your day. It starts off with how to win your morning, and it sounds like. And one of the things that you talk about is like your day is anchored by how you start your morning, and you have a morning ritual. And for the listeners, again, Bedros made an amazing book, and at the end of every chapter in every section, he has exercises, which I love because these are questions that an average person doesn't ask us, or if we have average friends, they don't talk about these topics. Therefore, this is not a book for the average. This is a book for the high performer. And if you want to level up and move into the next level of your life, then this is a book you need to pick up. So how is it that you start off your morning, and why is it such an important part of your day?
Oh, great question. So let me give you a different view. My mornings used to be, before I manned up and became a fighter jet, I was a crop duster, which, right, you've read about that in the Man Up book. And as a crop duster, dude, I would wake up around 7 o'clock, 7:30 in the morning when my alarm would go off. Well, truthfully, my alarm was set to go off at 7 a.m., but I'd hit snooze, and then I would hit snooze again, and maybe a third time. So by this time, it's around 7:30. Well, by the time I woke up, I had no idea what I was going to do. I would check my phone, and I would let my phone dictate my text messages, my emails, and what I see on social media would dictate what I'm going to do next. And every time you let circumstances dictate what you're going to do next, your life is screwed. It's screwed. It's over. So then I would be reactive all day long. I'm chasing emails. I'm chasing text messages. I'm trying to answer social media posts, thinking that I'm somehow moving the needle forward in my business, but I wasn't. Instead, my dear friend Craig Ballantyne, who wrote the book Perfect Day Formula, like before he ever wrote the book, I was the guinea pig he was testing it out on. And he taught me a morning routine just through environmental exposure by hanging out with him. Again, more proof that you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with most. Because I used to laugh at him about eating dinner so early, going to bed so early, waking up so early. But then my laughter turned into amazement when I quickly realized he's getting more done in a day than I'm getting done in a week, right? And so now my morning routine is completely different. My morning routine starts the night before, when on this phone, I will write down on my notes section exactly the 3 to 5 things I need to do to dominate my morning. That way, when I wake up, I'm not looking at text messages or emails or social media. I'm going right to my list, and I wake up at between 5 and 5:30 in the morning. My alarm is set for 5:30, but sometimes my eyes will pop open and I get up. I never hit the snooze button. And if you hit the snooze button, you lose. That's it. You're a loser immediately, because you're telling your subconscious mind, my first action of the day is a loss. I choose to do something negative. I choose to lose first thing in the morning. Forget it. Your day's screwed. So I don't hit the snooze button. I start the night before by taking notes on what I'm going to concentrate on. And then I wake up, have my protein shake, my water, my coffee, do my gratitude exercises. By 6:30 in the morning, I'm sitting on my couch with the laptop that I'm actually on right now to be able on the show for you. And I'm working off my list, man. My list of things that I wrote the night before dictate my actions. And that is the belief system that led to the habits that leads to the actions that I took from my mentors and from Craig Ballantyne. And so because of that, by 9 a.m., I'm at the gym working out. I get to the office around 11:30 in the morning here. And I can focus on Fit Body Bootcamp and my team, et cetera, because I've already done my work. I've already checked my emails. I've sent out my broadcasts, wrote my blog post, made any calls that I need to. I get the important things done in the morning, and I don't let my phone dictate my life. Instead, I dictate my life, which is something shouldn't be profound, but for some reason, it's so profound to people when I say that.
I love that. Yeah. And I like, for me, you and Craig are like my distance mentors. And you're right. Ever since I started writing my action plans the night prior, something about going to sleep with that, it subconsciously gives me like that drive to wake up without having to press the snooze button. Yes. And, for the listeners and for the viewers, if you are hesitant, I want to go ahead and answer your hesitance and your procrastination with a quote, which that's why you should get the book, with one of Bedros' quotes, which he says that the bottom line, not making a decision is often worse than making a bad or wrong decision. And I absolutely agree with you on that part, because it's easier to course correct when you're moving than to be stagnant.
Yes. Exactly right. Money, success is attracted to movement. That's it. Just everyone needs to remember this. Money is attracted to movement. And so when people are like, I need to make a decision, and it's not just about money, by the way. Health is attracted to movement. Relationships. If I want to be in a relationship, I could either sit here and make notes on what the perfect woman looks like, what kind of job she would have, how tall she'd be, kind of hair, and what kind of mom she'd be. Or I can go out in the field and start talking to women and start figuring out, who do I connect with? Do they have the values that I have? Are they in line with my vision? Do we have the same vision? Maybe I realize what I thought I wanted in a woman is different than what I actually want in a woman after talking to several, right? And so most people are afraid to make the decision. I say make the decision. You don't have to worry about if it's the right decision. Make the decision and make sure it's the best possible decision you can make. And if it's the wrong decision, you just course correct. There's not a lot of things in life that are permanent other than death. So unless the decision is like, I'm going to die, you don't really have to worry about it, because you can course correct as you go and then make the right decision. Because if it was the wrong decision, time will tell. You go, oh crap, that was the wrong decision. You just course correct. But if you didn't do it, now you're losing more time, effort, money, power, respect, whatever it is that you can stand to lose, you're going to lose more of if you are indecisive. And indecisive people are the type of people that just kind of kick the can down the road. And by the way, indecisive people are also the type of people that have the most amount of anxiety attacks in their lives.
What would be your recommendation for people that have a hard time making fast decisions?
Oh, good question. Good question. You set me up for this one. This is a perfect question. I get it. Because people are like, well, wait a minute. You're asking me to make a big life decision fast? Yes. Like a business decision? Yes. Like do we have kids decision? Yes. Like do we buy the house decision? Yes. Here's why. I'm asking you to do that. And for most people, you're not just going to go and make that business decision, house decision, marriage decision right away. Instead, I say, start making faster decisions on the smaller stuff. For example, if me and my wife are going to go on a date night tonight, right? Which actually a couple of days ago was date night for us. We're not going to decide, is it going to be steak or sushi? Either she's going to decide, hey, honey, we're going for a steak tonight. If I have an objection to it, I'll say, you know what, honey, not craving steak. How about sushi? How about chicken? How about Mexican, right? But if we sit there and we go, well, what do you think? I don't know. What do you think? Should we go to the steak restaurant? Should we get sushi? Do you want to read a book after, or should we go see a movie? Now we're being indecisive. Should I wear the button shirt or should I wear a short sleeve shirt? Should I wear shorts or long pants? It doesn't matter. Should I take Uber or Lyft? It doesn't matter. Because if you can make the small decisions in life quickly, you're teaching your subconscious mind that when it's time to make a big decision, I can make that quickly too. Because your brain doesn't know the difference between a big and a small decision. It just knows that every time Jose is up at the plate, when there's a decision to be made, he is quick at making it because he knows how to read the situation, look at the opportunities and options, and then make a decision. Again, it may not be the best decision, the right decision, but you can course correct. So I'll go back to the making the smaller decisions quickly. If the wife says, hey, what do you say we have steak tonight? I go, yes, steak it is. And then all of a sudden I got food poisoning. Guess what? Tomorrow I've got a whole new dinner we can eat. So again, I'm not going to die. As long as I don't die from it, I can recover from it.
I love that. And the way I like to also think about it is like, it's almost like turning on the instinctual side, right? Like, you know, when I'm walking my dog down the street, he's not thinking, he's just acting, but he's being very true to himself, to his own nature. And just like us, we have greatness inside us, and it's actually instinctual. And it's something about just turning on the instinctual greatness side in us.
Oh, dude, you can't be any more right about that. And I have a good friend. He lives right where you live in San Diego. His name is Tony Blauer, and he trains special forces guys on hand-to-hand self-defense, and even like regular people like you and me. He teaches us like street self-defense, how to protect yourself. And he says, hey, if I'm going to like punch at you, he goes, you're instantly going to do this. Like you have instincts that go to protect. Your shoulders come up to protect the arteries and your hands go up to protect your face. Your instincts 99% of the time are accurate and will kick in. The problem is we get so comfortable with life, we begin to put our instincts on hold and we go, what would I logically do? Imagine if you tried to punch me right now, if you were standing in front of me and I'm like, let me think what I should do. My instincts will tell me what to do based on a reaction. Most of the time, if we can allow our instincts to take control again, we will make the right decision. But so many people want to think about it. They want to fact find. They want to gather all the information. They want to make sure it's the perfect and right decision every time. In the meantime, success happens in imperfection, not imperfection.
When it comes to like making decisions, one of the points that you made in your book has to do with, which is a big deal for a lot of us, you and myself, and that is purpose. And you actually titled this book, Just the Right Purpose. Yeah. And if you could let us know what you mean by that, because to me, that was actually an insight to how to look at big fundamental pieces of our lives, but looking at it in a way that allows us to take action.
Yes. Here's the deal. We all have this higher need in life. We need some level of purpose, meaning, impact, significance. However you want to describe it, we want legacy. I want to know that what I'm doing means something to the world and not just making money. So I think about the German Shepherd or the Australian Shepherd. Both of these dogs thrive off service and purpose. In fact, when the German Shepherd is not herding animals, like for a farm, or if it's not protecting its family, it begins to get depressed. They begin to go a little stir crazy. They get anxious. And in the absence of purpose and service, they begin to dig holes everywhere to give themselves a purpose to do. So I realized, wait a minute, I'm not much different as a human than a German Shepherd or an Australian Shepherd. If I am not living my purpose, if I haven't found my purpose yet, if I haven't developed my purpose, if I'm not doing something that's bigger than me, that's kind of scary, that gives me a little bit of fear and anxiety, then I'm likely going to get depressed. I'm likely going to get anxious, and I'm going to start going stir crazy and digging holes in my life. And people dig holes in their life through alcoholism, drug abuse, pornography, infidelity, overeating like I used to. I was a stress eater, man. And I was working in the fitness industry, but I was a stress eater, and I was 40 pounds overweight. And I felt like an imposter in my own industry because I wasn't living up to my potential and hadn't discovered my purpose. Now, let's go to that for a minute. People go, well, then how do I find my purpose? It's not lost. It's not like it's a thing that's lost where you're going to go find it behind a tree or under a rock. Purpose is something you develop. So you're doing this right now, and we know this about you. You work at a Fit Body Boot Camp, right?
Yeah.
And are you a coach there? What do you do there?
So I'm the orientation leader. So the sales rep.
Okay. Orientation leader or sales rep. I mean, you have one of the most important jobs to take people who are prospectively interested and convert them into paying clients so that they can see results and the business can make money. Well, that's awesome. But now you decided, hey, I want to start a podcast. And truth be told, when you were announcing me, a little bit nervous, a little bit anxious. You had to stop to take a breath of air, didn't you? And in my head, I was just rooting for him, like, go fucking Jose, go, go, go. Because you're doing something so much bigger than you. If I put you back in that gym doing an orientation, you can knock it out like this in your sleep because you're so good at it. 100 interviews from now, you're going to be doing the introduction like that. But right now, this is so much bigger than you, this whole podcasting thing, that it's scary. It makes you uneasy. You stepped into the right boots, my friend. You are developing your purpose. And who knows, it might be a podcast forever and ever, or you may get so good that it develops into a radio show, like you become the next Rush Limbaugh or Howard Stern or whoever the next, or it ends up going into TV because you're such a good-looking guy, you articulate so well, and you got so many sets and reps under your belt that you end up being a TV news anchor, a host, or whatever. But you're developing yourself as you go. Most people just lock themselves down in a box, and they stay in that box forever because it's safe. And their purpose is never developed, yet they spend their whole life looking for purpose like it's lost.
Man, just first of all, thank you so much, man. Like just you being here and like talking to the listeners and the viewers, and just like the insight that you put into the book. I just want to just take a couple of moments of to acknowledge you, just because I also want to be respectful with your time. And honestly, I could sit here all day and ask you like tons of questions. I actually had a hard time, like just picking. I'm like, I only have limited amount of time with them. Like, what is it that I want to, what parts do I want to pick from Bedros, and which parts are going to be valuable to the listeners so that they could themselves get their book. Again, just go to the bio link. You'll find the link there. Buy it, get the audiobook, get the ebook, go to the live events, everything possible. And also Bedros has free content. Go to his podcast, Empire, the YouTube, pretty much Google it and something awesome will come up.
My man.
But I just want to take a few moments to just really acknowledge you for like who you are being, who you were as a person. Like you had to be somebody, you had to step into the dark side early in your age, right? Like when you were growing up. But that is to know that is not who you really are. But it took you going there to really to be able to see the light of who you really are yourself, and actually going through adversity and not giving up, being relentless, being resourceful, and really just waking up the belief and waking up the instinctual side of you, which is just amazingness. And you being you, and inspiring people like myself, people that are listening, people that are watching, and not allowing the past to become our future. And you are like the greatest example. And I just want to acknowledge you for transforming lives, when it comes to with your business, transforming mindsets with your message, and transforming and creating actually the new leaders with your book. So I want to acknowledge you for just being who you are, for being the representation of courage, love, and just infinite success.
Thanks, brother. That means so much, man. Truly means so much. And hopefully we'll get a chance to see each other face to face, shake hands, and if I can have a greater impact on your life, man, it would be my pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I just want to first just thank you. And for the listeners, please rate this, take a screenshot, put it on Insta story. The links will be found on the show notes. If you're watching this, you could see, just go ahead and tag us. We want to know who you are so that we can give you a shout out. Ultimately, let us know what was your favorite key takeaway, and maybe, who knows, maybe we'll have a part 2 with Mr. Bedros Keuilian on his second book. So excited already. I'm already ready about that. I'm excited about that second book.
That's awesome, man.
And for the listeners, so thank you so much for listening. And this was an amazing episode with Mr. Bedros Keuilian, the Fit CEO.